Yes,
Ah,
it is.
I fooled them.
It's not my favorite murder, but it's awfully close. I mean,
Sure, whatever we want to tell ourselves.
yep. I mean, just for one night only. Spook me something good is extra spooky. Hello, Katie.
Hello, Corey.
How are you on this
I'm
spooky, rainy evening?
I'm doing well.
Oh,
I'm
that's good.
loving our podcast's Halloween costume.
Absolutely. We're pretending
Um,
to be my favorite murder.
and we're gonna do it terribly.
Oh, absolutely. We, before the show, we tried to figure out who would be Karen and who would be Georgia. And we came to the conclusion that we will just be both at various
I
stages
think,
of the podcast.
yeah, I'm not mad about it.
No, it's
Um,
it's too hard to choose. They're both
it is.
wonderful.
It is. Aren't we all a little bit Karen and a little bit Georgia?
Just a little bit Georgia, a little bit rock and roll.
So let's talk about murder.
Let's talk about murder because it's late night scaries, spookies,
Yeah,
scaries.
yeah. I guess we should
I missed the
yeah.
branding.
Yeah, this is Late Night Scaries Festival
Excellent.
on Highwire Improv.
Hello.
And this is happening every night this month, and not this. Um,
No, no, we'd
but
we'd be very tired.
we'd be very tired. I'm pretty sure most murders start to kind of look the same after a while anyway. Like it
Yeah,
couldn't do
someone
it.
dies.
Yeah. And it was someone's fault.
Hmm.
So but yeah, so this is Late Night Scaries Festival, Highwire Improv. We are normally the hosts of Teach Me Something Good podcast. Uh, and tonight we're going to be teaching each other about murder.
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 Woo.
Murder. So let's just get into it. Uh, so my murder
Uh-huh.
is actually multiple. And they are the Colonial Parkway murders.
Whoa. Which
And
Colonial Parkway is that?
so the one in Virginia.
Okay.
And
Oh,
so I picked this. So I have to give a little backstory. So I
of
grew
course,
up
please.
in Eastern Virginia,
Okay.
in Yorktown. So all the historic Jamestown, Williamsburg, mumbo jumbo, what have
Sure.
you. And there is this road called the Colonial Parkway that
Okay.
connects Jamestown, Williamsburg, Yorktown. It's kind of this like back road. If you're not from around there, it confuses people. It's got it kind of has 3 lanes, but no lane markings.
Hmm.
It's not asphalt. It's like a weird rock concrete thing. It's like I think they were trying to make it look like old timey.
I mean, you've already set this up to be filled with murder just
Yeah.
by the sounds of
So
it.
yeah, I mean, like you don't build that kind of road and then expect people to not get murdered on it, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
so I always remembered growing up, my parents would talk, occasionally like mention the Parkway murders. And the first time I ever really remembered learning about them, I was about 16. I had my first job
Okay.
and I used to take the Parkway, the Colonial Parkway, to get to work.
Sure.
And I remember my dad telling me, oh, yeah, like there were all these murders there and they're totally unsolved. No one knows who did it. They were really brutal. They think it might have been a cop or a park ranger. And so there I am, 16-year-old me, driving alone from my job at the water park, like halfway through this like dark, pretty much abandoned parkway. And I'm just like, I'm gonna get murdered. I'm gonna get killed. I'm gonna
How
go the
much
way.
how much detail did your dad give you about these murders? Like
Not a ton.
not stuff that he didn't see in the paper, like not intimate
No,
knowledge. Is your Katie, is your dad a murderer?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Do we really know our fathers? Anyway.
Do we really know our brothers? So anyway, so the Parkway murders happened in everyone's favorite time period, the late 80s.
Where there were no laws.
Where there were no laws. Everything was filled with lead. So
Mhm.
everybody was aggro.
Yep.
Like these are provable facts. The
Dude,
80s was crazy.
if
It
we're
was
gonna
wild.
pretend to be my favorite murder, we can always say that in the 80s, everyone had extreme head injuries, and that's what causes murderers. So,
That's,
yeah.
I mean, look, I will say the leaded gas is really a thing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, the wall candy was delicious, but
The wall candy was,
mm,
don't lick your walls, kids. Anyway.
the schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
So set the scene. It is the year of our Lord, 1986, when everybody was getting murdered,
Yeah.
because it was the 80s. And so, yeah, so there are 8-ish victims associated with the Parkway murders. So I'll go through them first and then we can talk about the interesting stuff. I mean, it's not interesting. It's all, yeah.
Yeah.
So the very first 2 victims, so they were all killed in pairs.
Ooh,
Not always
fun.
romantic pairs, but they were always killed in pairs. So the first 2
I gotta get 2. I've only got this one guy here. I'm gonna need a second. Damn it.
You need the second guy. So
There's 3 of you? God, fuck.
Okay, well, one of you's gonna have to leave.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to just like leave. Don't turn around.
Yep. Just what if you hear anything, it's a TV.
It's a TV.
I have a 4-inch portable television that uses 2-car batteries to watch.
I only do pairs. Okay.
Yeah, only pairs.
I only do pairs. So first victims were they were both U.S. Naval Academy. So there's a U.S. Naval Academy in that area. There's actually a lot of military in my hometown. They were U.S. Naval Academy grads. Kathleen Thomas, who's 27, and then the other woman was Rebecca Ann Dowski, who's 21. She was a senior at the College of William and Mary. And so on October in 1986, their bodies were found inside Kathleen's, the older woman's vehicle. And so there was evidence that they had been bound. And there's evidence that they were both strangled and had their throats slashed. And so
this guy did not like necks.
Yeah, so this is like something that's kind of interesting is when we'll talk about each of the victims, but it's very complicated. Like these whoever executed these crimes very much was like very methodical, and there are some people that speculate that they weren't working alone.
Ooh.
Who knows? There's one interesting thing about this first couple who was killed. There's evidence that the killer tried to destroy the crime scene, so everything was covered in diesel, but it wasn't ignited. There was no robbery, and as with all of these cases, no evidence of any sexual assault or anything. So no one knows. Literally no one knows. And is one. Oh, go ahead.
I have an idea. It's probably Mr. Overby. Just trying to keep his name alive in the papers now, I've heard you know what I found out earlier, Katie? I heard that there is some extra evidence that's underneath this rock at mile marker 42. You should look into that. Maybe bring a newspaper, maybe bring the internet with you there. And,
I swear to God, if the Yorktown police show up at my dad's house, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you.
It runs in the family, I see.
Yeah, watch out. So first couple, 86, and then almost a year later, September 1987, 2 people, David Knobling, who was 20, and Robin Edwards, who was 14, were shot to death.
Oh boy.
In their vehicle.
That's interesting.
Or near their vehicle. And the vehicle was found nearby in a parking area with the wipers and radio on, and some articles of clothing inside. And so no one knows. So this is like a totally different MO, but it happened in a similar area.
It's interesting that the first 2 were strangled and these 2 were shot.
And so we can hit it now and we'll hit it later. But one thing that I always found interesting in doing research on the Colonial Parkway murders is everyone puts them all together, but there's not a lot of good evidence as to why. Except that like they all happened in a similar area. But it seems like it was like a bit of like the initial media coverage really drove the narrative that these were all the same murderer, and it just kind of stuck. Which is, I don't know what's more. I feel like the multiple murders is more terrifying.
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's all terrifying.
It is. It truly is.
Yeah. And then so the third couple was again probably at six. So it was like 6 months later. So April of 1988. There were two local college students, Cassandra Lee Haley, 18, and Richard Keith Call, 20, had attended a party and gone missing. And the car they were driving was found on the Colonial Parkway with some articles of clothing inside, and their bodies have actually never been found.
Oh, no.
So there wasn't a lot of evidence to suggest what happened one way or the other, which is also fascinating.
Did they find blood or?
Not that I can see. Not that I, from my like poking around.
Okay.
It's not super clear. Like a lot of like, again, like what's so interesting about a lot of what I've seen on the Parkway murders is people like really coming to conclusions, like really hopping and saying like, oh, it's very likely that these two were part of the madman spree. And then just being like, and it's like, you can't just say that. Like,
oh no, if you're not a cop, you can say whatever you want.
I mean,
when it comes to true crime. I mean, if we've learned anything from Reddit, it's that anyone who has Wikipedia can solve any murder as long as they make a tenuous jump to something ridiculous and or incorrect.
I hate people.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. So, and this is why we don't normally host a murder podcast, because there are ethical conundrums, but
we don't at least we don't host a murder solving podcast. I think like if we just talk about it, I think that should be fine. We're not
I'm not trying to solve it.
Yeah,
honestly, I'm trying to do the opposite.
You want to cover up your father's inquisitions.
Yes, exactly. Yes, precisely. So
keep it a family secret, Katie.
Keep it a family secret. Yes. So the fourth couple is September 1989, which is about a year and a half after the third couple. Was Anna Marie Phelps, who's 18, and Daniel Lauer, who is 21. Vanished on a drive to Virginia Beach. The car they were driving was found at a rest stop. So what I don't understand, I would like to point this out, is these people were not found on the parkway. They were found on the interstate. So why are we lumping them? First of all,
let me ask you this. This is a two-part question. Part A, on the Colonial Parkway, are there any rest stops?
No.
Okay. B, at the rest station they were found, was there a Roy Rogers?
Unlikely. We don't have those in Virginia. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Miserable state. So Maryland's so awesome. Anyway, but if they're, it seems like, I mean, the 80s were rife with media trying to be as sensational as possible for no goddamn reason.
Yeah. And I really think that might be what happened here. So, because this fourth couple was found, by the time they were found, only a month later, they were fully decomposed, which I will have to, macabre as all get out, but fascinating nonetheless.
Indeed.
Were
they found in the car or like in the woods?
No, they were found in the ground. In a wooded area. So they were probably they were definitely above ground. I would imagine they were above ground. But still, a month is not that long.
No, I don't know a whole lot about decomposition.
From dust we came, and to dust we shall return.
Here's hoping.
So
a month does seem like a while, but I don't know. There's animals and rain.
So I was saying it didn't seem that long for them to go from to just total skeletons.
Yeah.
Just full skeleton in a month. Anyway, so that one's kind of hard to know what happened. There's evidence that they were stabbed, but no one knows. And now we've just strung them all together.
Sure.
There also happens to be a fifth couple, maybe.
Ooh, finger quotes.
It was 7 years later.
Now that is incorrect.
Yeah, it's like, well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like serial killers, like, do kind of keep doing the do.
Yeah, but
Oh,
also serial killers have a generally similar MO.
right. So it's like
a steady cooling off period.
Also, something important about this couple. So they were it's the 24-year-old Julia Williams and 26-year-old Lolly Winans. It is actually, some people suspect that it was a hate crime because they were known to be romantically involved. But yeah, so they'd been bound and their throats had been cut. So I think one of the reasons that some people think it might be related is that MO was actually very similar to the first one.
Right, but after 7 years, there's news coverage and,
yeah, and there's and it said DNA studies might link the cases, but that I can't find a lot of good evidence on that.
Sure.
So I'm gonna mostly wrap it up because there's only so we're not my favorite murder. We're not a murder podcast. I only have so many hot takes, which is mainly I don't think the same guy did all these.
I would put if heaven was a real place and you could ask God any question,
God would be like, why are you asking me this? This is the stupidest question.
That's a fair point. And then I would say, Lord, fucking cut me some slack. We're here for the rest of time and space. Just fucking humor me for a sec.
True. But if you only got one question. Okay, we digress.
Okay, anyway.
You're gonna ask God about the Parkway murders.
I think, yeah, I'm gonna ask God, were these, because then I can sleep on my bed of gold. Assuming a Christian heaven.
Okay, yes. That's how the beds work. Yep. Yeah. And so I'm not the only one who thinks that these might not be related.
Oh, good.
The families of the victims in oh goodness, what year was this? Recent 2010. The victims' families requested the assistance of a retired Milwaukee Police Department homicide detective, Steve Spingola. And in 2010, he published Predators in the Parkway, a 29-page magazine article that detailed his findings. And I just like to point out that this feels like he fucking published a graphic novel about these people's trauma. Like, I do have questions around the ethics of that.
That doesn't sound great.
Doesn't sit right. But Spingola did suggest that there were actually at least 3 different killers based on MO.
Sure. And I'm not an expert, and I could have probably guessed.
Yeah, I know. It's like, cool, good job. And honestly, that's really it. Like it's like for all of the stuff that has been done on the Parkway murders, like the newspaper in my hometown did like a 5-part like photo essay on it. Like I mean, like is late, like as recent as like 2010, 2015, there was like coverage of this, and there is just squat diddly, like nothing, which is not shocking, right? Because the further away you get.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the Parkway murders. It is one of the reasons that I used to be just utterly terrified driving home from my job at the water park as a teenager.
I mean, it seems that is the story of the murders is just kind of an icing on the cake on what I assume, never having driven on it, a poorly lit, very dim, isolated.
It's also got tunnels.
With fuck. Yeah, no. I think this is a road that was built to have a murderer, and they
maybe it
just need,
came with it.
yeah,
Just like the pack. You get a discount.
When they when your local senator asked for money from the Department of Transportation to build this highway, the President Nixon was like, well, okay, you're gonna need a murderer.
You look, you either cough up the premium price, or we're gonna give you a murderer.
Yeah, it's
it's the 80s. Oh, Theo's mad.
Oh,
it's my dog. You're supposed to wait till the end. Yeah. Do you want a cookie? No, it's too late now.
Too late now.
Crap.
Well, that was fun. Wow.
Yes. So
you did your hometown murder.
Yes.
And now I'm going to do my wife's hometown murder. She requested that I do that. So
I'm so excited.
We're going to talk about the murder spree of Joseph C. Palczynski. If you didn't have enough to be leery of the community of Dundalk,
oh no,
this is gonna do it too.
Sorry.
So, yeah. Let me tell you, today I was over at my in-laws, and on their coffee table they had something called Dundalkopoly, which is the worst board game I think I've ever seen in my entire life. It is just Monopoly, but with different landmarks of Dundalk.
What landmarks are in Dundalk?
So according to the board, Costa's Inn, which is a 2-star restaurant that I've been to. I think the Back River, which has never not.
Isn't that just a sewer drain? I thought the Back River was just a sewer.
Yes, and surprisingly, the only actual landmark of Dundalk, which is those 2 giant testicles that they use as sewer treatment, the big giant eggs. Yeah.
The eggs. Yeah.
No, nowhere to be found. So I would like on behalf of my in-laws, I would like a refund for Dundalkopoly.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. Anyway, so Joseph C. Palczynski was, oh boy. Well, let's start here. On Wikipedia, his occupation is labeled as electrician and bodybuilder, which is, I mean, I'm sure people make money.
What year are we talking? Paint me a word picture.
So he was born in 1968.
Okay.
But really his origin story starts in about 1982 or 83.
The fucking 80s. Okay. I was like, I was like, I figured it was going to be the 80s.
Yeah.
And then you said bodybuilder, and I was like, this is the 80s.
I mean, yeah, you could only claim to be a bodybuilder as a profession in the 80s.
Isn't that just code for I was doing a lot of cocaine?
Steroids and cocaine.
Steroids, yeah, that's fair.
So, according to an article from the Washington Post, in 1986 or so, Joe, who is his nickname is Joby, but he also killed a bunch of people, so I won't be giving him.
Yeah, no. Why are we
the courtesy?
No. Wikipedia, go home. You're drunk.
Yeah, Palczynski was riding a school bus at Perry Hall High School. He was standing on the bus. You're not supposed to stand.
You're not supposed to stand. That was the first fucking clue.
Yeah. He was standing, and then the bus he was on rammed into another bus in the school parking lot. Palczynski was hurled into a window and then onto the floor. So guess what?
Oh no, he is traumatic. Oh no, he has a traumatic brain injury.
Yep.
Yo, that'll F you up. Don't put your kids in football.
No, never. Like, there are much more gentler sports like ping pong.
Freaking traumatic. Like, it's not a joke.
No, it's not. No,
traumatic brain injuries. Like, they don't even sound nice. Okay.
No. At the least, it will fuck your child up for life. At the most, it will fuck your child up for life and make them a murderer.
And okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
That was about 1982 or so, and about 1983, turns out he had a collection. This was all in 1983. Okay, all in 1983. He had a post-traumatic psychotic episode. Um, and as he grew older, he became more and more violent. His lawyers claim the lingering effects of the bus accident. His one of his sisters died around the same time. So,
oh God,
yeah, this is the origin story of a fucked up guy.
he's a fucking Batman villain. Jesus.
Let's see. He graduated high school in 1987, and from then on, he was in prison and mental health institutions or on probation. Violence, jail, therapy. He was, according to Wikipedia, he had a lengthy record of domestic violence and related crimes. His crimes included assault and battery. On one occasion, this is a trigger warning, but this is a murder podcast. You should understand.
Yeah,
we'll
throw a whole trigger warning in front of this guy.
Attention, it's all murder and terrible shit.
Yeah.
Cue the music. So, yeah, he apparently caused one of his ex-girlfriends to have a miscarriage after he beat the shit out of her. So,
good guy.
Yeah.
God.
So, not the best.
Not the best.
Not a bastion of decency.
No.
Well,
no.
In any regards. So, yeah. So here's where the trouble starts.
Here's where the trouble starts.
Yeah.
God.
Actually, I should mention two more
hold
things.
on to your butts.
In 1992.
That's when I was born.
Hey, happy birthday. Guess what happened in your birth year?
What?
Joseph C. Palczynski was in a standoff in Idaho with police that lasted for 16 hours.
What?
Isn't that fun?
Every police officer in the entire state of Idaho.
100%.
There's 3 of them.
Yeah. I need more details. And I have to dig into the Internet Archive real quick. Yes, he was a woman filed a complaint against him for assaulting her 15-year-old daughter. Yep, he was hiding out there. He barricaded himself alone in an apartment and told negotiators he would kill himself and shoot people in a nearby parking lot if police advanced. After 16 hours, a SWAT team gassed him out, and he was apprehended and returned to Maryland. So yeah. So that happened. Eventually he made his way back to Maryland, and by the year 2000 he was unemployed, but unmedicated and wanted for violating his parole.
Good. So
we make our way to March 7, 2000.
Okay.
This is in Bowley's Quarters, which is near Middle River.
Was that on the Monopoly board?
No, that's different. That's far out. No, Bowley's Quarters is okay. I see. It's right on the bay. I think it's where the I'm looking here. Yeah, they have the Lockheed Martin plant there.
Oh.
If you drive through Bowley's Quarters, you will eventually get to the drive-in, which is nice, which you've never been to. I've never been to the drive-in. So. We're gonna go to the drive-in, and then see where murder happened. I don't know.
Perfect.
Yeah. So Bowley's Quarters, it's quiet. There's not a lot of violent crime there.
Right.
George and Gloria Schenk and their neighbor David Myers were shot to death as Palczynski kidnapped his estranged girlfriend, Tracy Whitehead, and drove away with her in his mother's car. She had accused Palczynski of abusing her, and the Schenks were kind of protecting her.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he fucking abused her.
Yeah, she had recently left him and planned to move into her own apartment from her parents' house.
God, we do such a bad job at protecting people whose partners are trying to kill them.
Oh, absolutely.
God, so bad. We're gonna need a buffet of trigger warnings. This is why we're not a murder podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
this
fuck,
is hard
this
going
is
to talk about.
sad stuff. God, I miss talking about bananas.
Yeah, remember when the most troubling thing we had to talk about was just bananas have their own web forum, and now we've drifted far enough to a domestic abuser killed 3 people who were just trying to protect an abused person.
Karen and Georgia, man, I can't do your job.
Stomachs of steel, those two.
Stomachs of steel.
And I'm
all
mad because
right.
they're funnier than we are too.
Yeah,
Jesus.
they are funnier than we are, but you know.
No. Jeez. Anyway, well, that's Hollywood living.
Yeah.
So okay. So that was March 7, 2000.
Okay.
10 days following that, Baltimore was under a manhunt to try to find this. Every available law enforcement unit were on the hunt. They made barriers with roadblocks surrounding the area where they believed Pałzinski had been. Pałzinski was able to penetrate the barriers and evade capture twice. Baltimore's finest. Baltimore County's finest. Let's put that
what? Okay. Yeah. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. Okay. So now, Wednesday, March 8th. So this is a day after the killing. Pałzinski attempted to hijack a car. Jennifer Lynn McDonald was 36 years old. She was pregnant and a mother of a 2-year-old.
Jesus Christ.
Was fatally wounded from being hit by a ricochet bullet in front of her family during an unsuccessful carjacking attempt. In Chase, Maryland, which is far east of Baltimore County. So yeah, he's still in the Baltimore County area. He then carjacked an 81-year-old woman who was not injured. Pałzinski took his battered girlfriend to the El Rich Motel on Pulaski Highway, which I drive by every time I go to Sonic Burger. I know exactly where the El Rich Motel is. And Wikipedia is kind to articulate that they were in room number 25.
Oh my, Wikipedia, go home. So you're drunk.
If you or a loved one are in the Baltimore area and would like to stay in a hotel room where a spree killer took his battered girlfriend, please enjoy the El Rich Motel on Pulaski Highway.
Humans are a lot.
Humans have decided to do the worst.
Yeah, we can't have nice things. So
yeah.
All right. Oh God.
So the clerk at the hotel said that the girlfriend had come out of the room alone on several occasions to buy soda and food, and that she seemed chipper and happy and not scared or frightened, which is interesting and irrelevant. Pałzinski saw the death of the pregnant woman and the carjacking reported on the news and realized that his guns were in the vehicle which he had just stolen, which police were looking for. He went outside with his girlfriend to retrieve the guns. As they stepped outside, she saw a police car, which she ran to, and Pałzinski fled into the nearby woods.
Okay.
So Friday, March 10, Pałzinski flees to Virginia, to the Colonial Parkway. What?
No. Wait, shit. Shit.
He flees to Virginia.
Solved it. Corey.
Bullseye. We did it. Take that, Georgia and Karen. We solved a murder. No, we didn't. We know who did it.
We did. We absolutely did not.
Yeah. It was Katie's dad.
I hate you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Overby. So on Friday, March 10, Pałzinski flees to Virginia. He kidnaps a person named William Terrell and orders him to transport him back to eastern Baltimore County. Investigators believe that Pałzinski hitched a ride on a train down to Virginia. He told Terrell he had paid a woman to transport him there. So lying, the hypocrisy is really what's the worst part.
Yes. Yeah, that's the worst part.
Yeah. During the kidnapping, he ordered Terrell to drive to to drive to the Best Buy in White Marsh, which I know very well. That's where I buy all my appliances.
You could run like a really, really shitty ghost tour.
Yeah. Well, no one died in these places, so I don't think the ghosts would be there.
Yeah, I said it's a shitty ghost tour.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I mean, you could run a shitty ghost tour anywhere. I could just put someone in my car and drive them around and tell them where ghosts are not.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Precisely.
So if you'd like to sign up for the Spook Me Something Good non-ghost tour, please head to our website at teachme.show and just email Katie and say, I'd like a ride anywhere. Katie will tell you where all the ghosts are not.
Yeah,
if you find a ghost on the ghost tour, you are entitled to a full refund.
It's true.
He went he went to the Best Buy and he ordered his kidnappee, William Terrell, to purchase food, various survival equipment
in the Best Buy,
and there's a Target there too.
Okay. I was like,
I mean, at the time, there's a Target, there's a Best Buy there. I think the Bed Bath and Beyond was there as well. So
all right,
get some sheets.
Okay.
There's a Michaels.
Oh yes, so for all of his
pom-poms.
His knitting needs.
Yeah. Well, if Terrell did not comply, Palczynski said he was going to shoot, quote, whoever was around. Police found Terrell in his pickup truck at 3:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. Palczynski released him. He promised Palczynski he would not call the police, and he didn't. So eventually, on Friday, March 17, Palczynski made it back into Dundalk, which was still being roadblocked to high heaven. The movies were closed because it was off season, and God knows Benji's isn't opening off season. I have a lot to say about Benji's. Anyway, and it's only relevant to anyone who has been to Benji. It's the worst stand-up set on the history of the planet because the audience is super specific to people who have been to Benji's Drive-In and who also thinks that the guy who owns the place is a rambling lunatic. I've never heard anyone who runs a movie theater talk over the beginning 5 minutes of a movie to complain about Royal Farms. Anyway.
Wow.
It's
only in Dundalk.
Only in Dundalk. So Palczynski penetrates a barrier, reaches Dundalk. He goes to his girlfriend's mother's house.
I'm sure she was thrilled to see him.
Mm-hmm. The son of, so I guess his girlfriend's half sister, I don't know how families work. The girlfriend's mother's son let him into the house because he did not watch the news. And as a child who grew up during the O.J. Simpson trial, I understand. All I understood as a 12-year-old watching television, well, no, in 1994, I was 7. But still.
No, I'm sorry. You don't just let fucking people in your house.
Well, it's someone that he kind of knew. But also, as a child, I watched the news and I didn't like it because it was interrupting the cartoons.
I mean, that's fair. I don't like the news now, so.
Also, well, different reasons. They don't interrupt the cartoons anymore.
That's fair.
So this was a big mistake young Bradley made as he let the killer into his house. Yeah. Because for the following 97 hours, Palczynski held the family hostage in their home, ignoring the requests of law enforcement and negotiators to release them, and occasionally firing shots.
Good.
During the standoff, no one was permitted to enter the neighborhood of the hostage situation. All area residents were asked to stay at a shelter that was set up at an elementary school. Several people who violated the police perimeter were arrested.
I hate people.
This is the same neighborhood whose local diner had a sign that said "Make America Great Again."
I hate people. Yeah, I mean, look, you're infringing on our freedoms. If we want to get shot by a madman, let us.
Well, hey, do you want a reason to hate some police too?
I do.
The Baltimore County Tactical Squad requisitioned a nearby house in which there was a barking dog. They killed the dog. The police.
God, this is why we're not a fucking murder podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's lay it on me.
You know what? At this point, we can see Baltimore County's finest doing great work here.
Oh.
Palczynski made one demand to officers to speak with his estranged girlfriend. Police denied this request. It was reported, the police justified their decision to deny this request, saying it was his only request, and they feared that if they granted it, he might have killed her mother and the other hostages while Tracy listened on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like he might have.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was also reported that he wanted to talk to his mom as well.
Mm.
So not his only request. During this time, the police kept the girlfriend at an undisclosed location. It was a Holiday Inn. On the evening of Tuesday, March 21, the adult hostages took matters into their own hands. They laced a glass of iced tea with Xanax, which sounds just like regular iced tea that you would find in Dundalk. After Palczynski drank it, he fell asleep. The boyfriend of the girlfriend's mom fled out of the front window alone. He was not graceful when he did it, but Palczynski slept through it because he was Xanaxed the fuck out. The mother escaped. They left the son behind because they were expecting the police to rescue him. Officers broke into the home. There have been many discussions about why the parents left the boy behind.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like any of them were. Maybe they're not the best parents.
How old was the kid?
12.
Jesus.
He is, I mean, I don't know if you've ever spoken to a 12-year-old before, but they're not exact. Like, they understand, don't make noise. This man could kill us all after 4 days.
Yeah, I don't. What the fuck? I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Fuck that. All right. So,
yeah.
cops.
According to the officers, Palczynski, who had last been seen lying on top of his weapons, had sat up and reached for a weapon. Officers shot him numerous times, killing him. The gunshots were shown live on television. They didn't actually see the dead body. They didn't see him actually die. It's not a snuff film.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Did the kid make it out?
They rescued the boy.
Oh, okay. I mean, still not great that they left his ass.
Right.
But
he was he had been shot 27 times by officers. He had no drugs or alcohol in him other than the Xanax.
Guys. But okay.
While some members of the police questioned the shooting of an unarmed man, the police determined their actions were justified.
Well, of course they did.
Of course they did. Let's see. So the boyfriend, the one who
I'm gonna need
escaped,
a fucking Xanax iced tea after this.
Yeah, I think
Jesus.
So. The boyfriend attempted to collect a $10,000 reward because he said he was the first to call 911, but you have to call Metro Crime Stoppers in order to get the reward, and he did not.
Also, like, fuck off, man. Like,
the hostages filed a lawsuit against the police, alleging that the department failed to protect them and their son. The police said
they also helped in that last one.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. Yeah, that's not great. God. So yeah,
it's just a shit fest. Is what that one was.
I think the moral of the story is
don't get a head injury.
Nice. Oh yeah, that too. Definitely.
Towson is nice.
Towson is nice. They have a mall. That mall has an arcade, and nobody gets abducted and shot and killed.
Yeah. I was gonna say don't get a head injury.
Yeah, definitely don't get a head injury.
Like, really don't. God, that was awful. I mean, like,
it is a failing all around.
It was just like a pile of shit. Like, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people sucked in that story.
A lot of people, if I were to give them the extreme benefit of the doubt, I think a lot of people made inopportune choices, to say the least.
Still mad about the dog.
Yeah. Oh,
Very
pissed off
pissed
about the
about that.
dog. I skipped over that when I was researching this. I'm livid about it.
It's just so it's just another toss on the ship fest. Another toss on the ship
It's
fest.
not great.
It's not great.
Um,
Well,
yeah, that's our show.
that's our show.
What a way to end it.
I swear, normally we don't do murder
No, we and
because
I don't think we're gonna do murders
I don't think I'm ever
for
gonna
a year.
ever talk or read about a murder ever again. That really did me in forever. I'm good.
Well, we
Um,
say that. I'm definitely probably gonna watch Forensic Files before I go to bed.
fair.
So
But
yeah.
podcast wise, it will be random
Yeah.
produce and strange facts about the ocean from here on out.
That sounds delightful.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Well, this
I'm Corey.
and I'm Katie.
And this has been not my favorite murders.
No.
I don't even this has changed my whole viewpoint on everything. Yikes.
Yeah. How can you offer your cat a cookie after talking about that shit?
Truman want a cookie?
Truman want a cookie?
Nah, he's asleep.
He's like, don't touch me.
He's like, ew, I heard what you said. Anyhow.
Well.
Should we play our new old theme song?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Wait, Twitter. I'm at Pack Dude. You are.
I'm at KN Overby.
There you go. And our website is teachme.show, where you can listen to way better nice things. There's nice things.
I swear we normally talk about nice things.
We talk about nice things like bananas and
also,
Jeopardy and bricks.
I swear that normally late night Scaries is very funny. I don't know how we ended up
here. Hey, this was funny too in a large like nihilistic sense.
Yes, fair, but late night Scaries festival, Highwire Improv channel,
off to a great start.
10 o'clock every night in October. Lots of fun, spooky stuff. Cleanse your palate of the murder.
We can definitely guarantee that tomorrow's show will be funnier and scarier. Maybe not scarier. This is frightening me to my core.
This is quite frightening.
But it will be funnier at the least.
Absolutely.
Anyhow.
And with that, you will play us out.
Let's get out of here. Good night,